Hey guys, Non-Zero, coach of the Pittsburgh Celesteelas, bringing you my Week 2 MLBA draft recap versus Jamesanity and the Columbus Chu. So you can see the teams that I brought and the team that he brought here. I did bring Trick Room plus Torkoal. I thought Torkoal worked pretty well against this team. His only really solid answer being Vaporeon, and even that is 2-hit KO'd by Specs Eruption after Rocks. And so I brought some more or less standard sets. The Silvally here is Silvally Flying. That was mostly so I don't get swept by either some fighting type move by his Hitmontop or some Earthquake by his Lando. Then other than that we have SD, Rockinium Z, Terrakion, we have Agility, Diggersby, as I said, Flying Silvally. Also just to support Rachi with Rocks, Wish, Trick Room, Healing Wish, Specs Torkoal, and finally Scarf Greninja. And so Scarf Greninja was kind of my designated lead here, so I do go ahead and lead off with it. As he leads off with his Landers. Now I'm really tempted here to get a Spike off turn 1, because I do pack Spike on this set, but I just kind of go for the safe play, which is to Ice Beam his Lando turn 1. I didn't want him to be Scarf U-turn or something, which has a good chance to knock me out actually, depending on offensive investment. But in any case, I do throw off the safe Ice Beam. I am modest, so it would have knocked him out if he stayed in. Unless he was, of course, Yachi Berry. But anyways, I switch out here into my Jirachi in order to get up Rocks, and I'm able to take the Scalds pretty well. However, here, I end up switching into Silvally Flying. I could have tried to Wish and get up a Trick Room potentially, but if he had burnt me, then I went down to 2 Scalds. So that's why I just went out here into Silvally. And I throw off a Toxic, as he probably predicts something along these lines and switches into his Registeel. And I have no real reason not to throw off a Parting Shot at this moment, so I'm not quite sure why he pulled the double into Lando. But he does, and this allows me to go right back into my Greninja. And this time I am going to pull the trigger, especially because I see that he is leftovers. And I just get up a Spike. He goes out into Hitmontop here, so I figure he's probably going to Rapid Spin these. Potentially. Or he might go for the Mach Punch, fearing a random extra sensory, but that wouldn't actually do too much because I'm not Protean. But anyways, he actually goes for the Mach Punch, and based on that damage, he reveals himself to be like max attack banded. And that's actually kind of scary, because apart from Torkoal and Silvally, everything else doesn't want to take a max attack banded Mach Punch. I calced, and Terrakion can live 1 from full. Technician, max attack, Mach Punch, but Diggersby and Greninja of course cannot. This does, however, give me a kill with my Torkoal, because Torkoal has amazing defense. He'll be able to take the Mach Punch really well, and he has to pick a sack to my Specs Eruption. Vaporeon would have taken a ton. It actually had a chance to go down after the Hazards plus Eruption. So, I am here going to preserve my Torkoal, as it can take banded close combat. It can take really anything. Any one hit from his physical attackers. And I just go out here into my Diggersby. It can also take a Draco Meteor from Megalodi if it's defensive. That's something that I collect at this point. But in any case, we're just going to go here into this matchup. And I go for the return, and I see it does a little less than half, so he might be able to stall me, or he might not. This first turn he doesn't go for Wish, he just goes for the Scald. And so this might be a roll, and it turns out that it actually is a roll, and I get it on the second time, so I get a bit lucky there. Able to beat this Vaporeon 1v1. Imagine he probably went for Wish there, so he could have stalled me out a bit if I hadn't gotten the roll. But in any case, he is now able to go out into his Weavile here, as I think I just sack Greninja. Greninja doesn't do too much at this point, especially with his Hitmontop revealed to be Banded Technician Mach Punch. So I just more or less sack my Greninja here to knock off into, I guess, Brick Break? Yeah. And in the long term, my win condition is definitely going to be my Terrakion. And I need to make sure that Terrakion doesn't take any damage. That's why I never went into it prior, because I needed to stay at full so it can take a Mach Punch from Hitmontop if it needs to. And so here I think I might just throw off, I forget what I throw off here. Yeah, an Eruption, because I know that no matter what attack he goes for, I'll still be able to knock him out with a Sun boosted, you know, max special attack Eruption, even without the specs. As he now goes out into Registeel, which I'm not too sure what he was doing here, because I am just going to be able to knock this out with a Fire Blast. I guess he might have calced that he survives an Eruption, which I think he does at that range, depending on investment. But even then, he only knocked me out if he was offensive Earthquake, I think. So, unclear. But, as you'll see, that actually helped me out a good bit because it helps out with the differential at the end. He could have more or less played the exact same endgame, but without sacking Registeel there. In any case, you see this crit that happened. This crit probably actually mattered because he reveals himself to be a defensive variant in these next few turns. Although it was still a chance that if he hadn't crit, he would have knocked out. So, like, it wasn't total hacks there. And I think it was like a 50-50 roll, depending on if he had any special attack investment on whether he knocked me out from that range. But in any case, here I am just going to go out into my Diggersby, and I guess this last turn was probably where I misplayed the most. So I parting shotted into Diggersby, figuring that Diggersby can live 1 at -1 if he is a defensive variant, which he revealed himself to be. And I thought Ice Punch would probably put him in range of like where I'd be able to Toxic Stall him with Silvally. But I really should have just Toxic'd first. And that's probably the misplay that cost me the game. Because if I had Toxic'd first and somehow managed to Toxic Stall even a little bit, put it in range of Ice Punch and Parting Shot later, then Terrakion has a chance of 1v1ing the Hitmontop. But none of that happened. Even then I might still lose because I don't knock him out after hazards with close combat, and he could probably still just sweep me with Mach Punch. And I think my best chance was to just try to Toxic Stall him there. But in any case, what does happen is he's more or less just able to win out with his remaining Mons. Because Ice Punch isn't doing it enough. He had already revealed himself to be defensive. I don't have Quick Attack, unfortunately. I think I have Ice Punch, Agility, Return, Earthquake on the set. So he's obviously able to pick up the 2-hit KO with Psychic. As I think here I go back out into my Silvally and just try to Toxic Stall this thing. As he goes for a Roost and I land a Toxic, I think. And the next couple of turns, here I go for his Choke. I go for the Roar, you'll see here, and obviously that worked out pretty well for him. If I had had multi-attack, I probably would have gone for it at this point, because it would have hit the incoming Hitmontop if you chose to make that switch, and it also might have potentially beaten the Megalodios 1v1. I'm not sure about that. But I did not have multi-attack, so it was kind of moot, and he's able to get off the Defog, and all I could do there was hope for the Choke. If he had swapped hard into Hitmontop, and I got the Roar off, then I had a potential to win, because after 2 rounds of hazards, Hitmontop is in range of close combat. In any case, none of that happened, and he is able to just clean up here with his Hitmontop, as you'll see. I actually don't have anything to hit this with, unfortunately. And plus, close combat does actually knock me out. I'm not sure the crit mattered. I didn't really calc that one. it wouldn't have mattered anyways because all I could do was Toxic him. I didn't have multi-attack. And yeah, so I just go into my Terrakion here, and the only remaining chance I have for winning is some crits. So I go here first for the Continental Crush crit. And maybe I should have just close combated there in retrospect. Might have been better for the differential. But the only way, my win condition was that knocking him out and me living the Psy Shock. Or Psychic, which I have a chance to. But alas, I don't get the crit, so he's able to knock me out and take week 2 match 2-0. So we held it to a pretty low differential, not the worst loss. It's not a division match, and we're still doing decently. I do encourage you to check out week 3, which is also going to be uploaded at the same time as week 2. And that was our match, I believe, versus the Detroit Torcats. So yeah, definitely check that out. In any case, that's going to be non-zero. Signing out for now. See you guys later. Peace.